Phoenix Greenways, Walk 13, 5 Pitch Trail, Day 4. Sunday the 27th of November 2011, and I've been invited out for Sunday lunch, but I'm eager to complete my 5 Pitch Trail walking, so there's no other option as the coming week looks set to be rather busy, so I'm going to have to do it all before lunch. That will make a change. The alarm was set last night, so I'm up at 6, needing plenty of time for my usual 2 or 3 coffees and a few ciggies before I'm awake, and an early start is required in time for me to meet my lunch appointment after my walk. Ideally, I need to do a circular that will start and finish at Wolfie Pond along the 5 Pitch Trail at North Lingfield and take No Names and I through Grassmore Country Park, Williamthorpe Ponds and Homewood Woodlands, before finishing back at the start at Wolfie Pond. Today's walk would be a circular, and the only circular route that can be completed by using the 5 Pitch Trail track throughout its entire length without venturing off the main route of the trail. However, parking at Wolfie Pond can only be achieved when the local angling club is in residence, and as I am unsure when that will be, I need to park elsewhere. Hardstop Road is out of the question because of its distance from the circular route, albeit not very far, but too far for No Names and I to be able to complete the intended walk before lunch. So it looks like parking at Williamthorpe Ponds is the best option. This of course will mean us starting and finishing there as opposed to Wolfie Pond, but we would still be able to do the intended route, so the results would be the same. The usual preparations have been made and I'm parking the Trekkermobile at Williamthorpe Ponds at 7:25 am. It's chucking it down with rain, so waiting in the car for 10 minutes for the rain to subside is the preferred choice. The main drawback with this type of early start in November is that it is not entirely light yet, as the sun, if we get some, need to ascend some more before full daylight can be had for my photographs. But as we'll be finishing at the same point, any pictures I can't take now can be had when I return, by which time it will hopefully be much lighter. The rain is beginning to subside, so we're off. My first photo gets taken at 7:40 and soon followed by many others. Williamthorpe Ponds is a wonderful woodland and water habitat supporting much wildlife. 3 ponds altogether, 2 of them very large, and a bird hide located at the side of the third for ornithologists to use by prior arrangement. The area is also very popular with fishermen, and fishing platforms have been provided around the ponds. This was once the site of Williamthorpe Colliery, which began production in 1905 and had the deepest shafts in the East Midlands, at 550 yards deep. A showpiece colliery in its heyday, but was finally closed in 1970, some 31 years after Tiffshelf Colliery at the other end of the 5 Pitch Trail. Although beautiful and peaceful in its own right, the site is surrounded by modern day industrial areas, which are obvious around the location. Wonderful surrounding countryside it is not, but this does not really spoil the pleasant location. I spend a good 20 minutes around Williamthorpe Ponds, snapping away happily whilst No Names goes about his usual exploration, and we finally say goodbye to Williamthorpe Ponds at around 8 am, but we'll be back soon. 10 minutes later finds me reading a poster about the Chesterfield Round Walk, which passes through this location. It does look quite interesting and I feel I may want to give it a go sometime soon. 5 minutes later, the trail appears to come to an abrupt end, alongside a large industrial estate at Homewood, but I know the trail continues over the road bridge, as a sign at the end of the path clearly states 5 Pitch Trail, Homewood, over bridge. I put No Names on his lead for this short road section and release him again as we enter the once site of Heath Railway Station. But I'm aware that this is merely a very short section of a few hundred yards, so No Names will have to go back on the lead for us to cross the main road at Homewood. Heath Railway Station was opened in 1893, but was closed to passenger services in 1963. Freight passage continued for 3 more years, but the station was closed completely in 1965, with freight passage through the side continuing for just over a year until the line itself was closed in 1966. Within 5 minutes, No Names is back on his lead as we cross the main road into Homewood Woodlands. This is a relatively young woodland nature reserve that supports an abundance of native plants and wildlife on the location of the once Hardwick Colliery, which was sometimes referred to as Home Wood Colliery, another of the so-called 5 pits the trail is named after, the other 4 being Tipshelf, Pillsley, Williamthorpe and Grassmoor. Dotted around the site are a number of various exercises that have been constructed with the aim of providing users with a much healthier outdoor alternative to the gym, with the added advantage of being free to use, so much cheaper than the gym also. An interesting sculpture designed by Robin Widowson and Sarah Bevan, along with students from Dane Court Community School at North Wingfield, is located close to the centre of the site. As we exit Homewood Woodlands at about 8:30, the weather is beginning to improve and the drizzle subsides as the sun begins to appear, and a few pleasant rainbow shots are eagerly caught by the lens of my digital camera. Soon after, we pass a horse paddock on the left before our next road crossing of the B6039 that runs northward from Tipshelf to Homewood. The weather is starting to dull again, and after crossing the road and releasing No Names again, we are being bombarded with cold biting rain from the west that cuts right through to the skin, and poor No Names and I descend into miserable mode for a short while, but nonetheless continue to plod along regardless. On reaching the location I call the Fork, the site of our tea break on the previous walk, some 15 minutes or so later, the rain has subsided back into light drizzle, and my spirits are heightened as I notice the sun breaking through the clouds on the Derbyshire hills in the distance. The weather change also cheers up No Names as he begins to go back to his usual runabout and explore mode. 20 minutes later, and the rain has now stopped as we pass by Wolfie Pond. Within 5 minutes the sun is appearing again, so I grab another rainbow shot before we descend the trail towards Grassmoor Country Park. On reaching Grassmoor Country Park at about 9:25, the opportunity for a tea break is foremost in my mind after the driving rain experienced earlier. I have no desire to sit on a wet bench for our break, so wait until the sun is shining and then find a nice location in the park to relax for a while. Such a location soon comes along, and the tea break proves to be most welcome. Unfortunately, a relaxing break is not on offer, as I am continuously forced to recall No Names, who constantly runs about to try and play with the many other dogs passing by with their owners. Yes, Grassmoor Country Park is very busy most of the time. The popularity of Grassmoor Country Park is easy to understand when you consider what it has to offer. Within a few miles of the large historical market town of Chesterfield, easily accessed from the M1 Junction 29, and also very close to Grassmoor Village, Temple Normanton and North Wingfield. Grassmoor Country Park offers 2 ponds supporting a number of waterbirds, dragonflies and waterfalls, and a very large area of open grassland interspersed with wonderful woodland areas, and has its own car parking area. It is not unusual on a summer's day to see it thronged with human activity. Fishing is permitted on site, but only on one of its ponds, not both. It is also the official end of the 5 Pitch Trail, or the official start of the 5 Pitch Trail. Grassmoor Country Park is on the site of the once Grassmoor Colliery, which opened in 1846 and continued production for over a century. Some references state that the colliery was closed in 1950, whilst others state 1971. So as yet I'm unsure, but will endeavour to find out for definite. The training centre for Derbyshire miners was located adjacent to the site. Grassmoor had its own railway station, opened in 1893, on Mansfield Road next to the colliery site, but was closed in 1940. About half hour after entering the park, we exit and begin our ascent up the slope back towards Wolfie Pond. 15 minutes later, we are exiting the area of Wolfie Pond on our final leg of today's walk towards our earlier starting point at Williamthorpe Ponds. The Williamthorpe Ponds finally come into sight at about 10:25, but now the weather is much more suited to photography, and I make use of the opportunity to get some more shots in, this time a little clearer than earlier. A 20-minute photo session ensues before I hutch No Names up into the Trekkermobile after being out on the wonderful 5 Pitch Trail for 3 hours. Ready for our ride home with plenty of time left to get home, have our usual cups of tea, and view today's 200 photographs before meeting my much anticipated Sunday lunch appointment in good time, which coincidentally was absolutely delicious and in great company. Please be sure to view the photographs of this walk on Facebook as usual. There's only 196-ish. Thank you very much, and I shall speak again soon. Goodbye.